Welcome back to Reliving Retro. This is Season 6, Episode 5. And if you're new here, we pick one game at random, invite a guest on to rate it in 5 different categories: story, gameplay, visuals, sound, and how well it aged. We have an awesome guest on with us this time, so I'll allow him to introduce himself. Go ahead, man.
I am Radical Reggie. I am a content creator, YouTuber who talks about a lot of retro games, modern games as well. I talk about hidden gems here and there. I haven't done it in a while, which is kind of crazy. But I'm just an overall passionate gamer, and I'm trying to pass the knowledge on to other people about what games out there are good that they might not know about. You know, definitely, I try to keep it like none of the mainstream games, but just stuff that just went under people's radar, I would say. So that's what I'm
Absolutely, man. Cool. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. I've been following you on YouTube for what seems like forever at this point. Some of my favorite videos of yours are your hidden gems and your game room tours. And I think you and Metal Jesus Rocks used to do this thing where you would kind of build like the perfect like beginner set for like a console.
Right.
I always thought that was really cool.
Like the like what people should buy if they have the system, like things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of that stuff is awesome. So go follow him over on YouTube if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you already have, but yeah, for those that haven't, go ahead and follow him over there. Just a quick side note here: our new Patreon thing that we got going on. It's $2 a month, and you can pick a game for us to play for our Patreon pool, and you get our entire gameplay, everything that we stream on Twitch. It's all on it's not the edited down version that you get on YouTube. It's the entire gameplay that's over on our Patreon, and you get this episode probably a week or two early. So head over there, $2 a month, and you can get all that stuff. Also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Discord, TikTok, Spotify if you're watching on YouTube if you're listening on Spotify. And let's get to know Reggie a little bit here. All right, what would you say your introduction to gaming was?
Back when I was a kid, I want to say around maybe 3-4 years old, my brother was a teen at the time. He took me, because he was babysitting me, he took me to a pizza shop with his friends, and I remember there was 2 arcade games there. One was Punch-Out. The other one I can't remember. I think it was a wrestling game, and there was a pinball machine. So I remember he gave me some quarters, and I started playing Punch-Out. And, I was actually good at it. And a lot of the teens there were like cheering me on. So as a kid, when you get cheered on by, the teens, like older kids, you remember that stuff. So, I would think it started from there. I remember trying to play the pinball and grabbing a little stool, trying to like put my arms around it and play it properly. They were cheering me on playing that, even though I wasn't that good at that one, because obviously there was a length problem. But I think my mom surprised me with an NES back in the day. And I didn't even ask her for one for Christmas, but she just gave it to me. And I think
those
my
are the
passion
best.
I know, right? I think my passion kind of started from the point, like it started to become a bit stronger, I would say. From that point on, that's where I became a gamer at.
That's awesome. Now that Punch-Out machine, that was the one that had the double screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, those are super. I mean, not like rare necessarily nowadays, but I felt like back in the day, like to find an arcade cab that had 2 screens was like definitely unheard of.
Yeah, it was because one screen was to show you the stats of your character and everything like that, but obviously the main screen was the bottom screen where you would fight the fighters. It kind of reminds me of one time there was this place called Bullwinkle's I used to go to as a kid, bunch of arcades, family fun center, and whatever popular arcade game they had going there, they would add an extra screen to it, because people were surrounded. So if you were get close to the machine, you could see from far away what they were playing, what was going on. And at the time, I remember, I know, right? And I remember at the time, Double Dragon 2: The Revenge was the popular game. So I remember just watching that game and kind of being traumatized by it too. Because if you guys played the first Double Dragon arcade game, they punch the girl, take her away, and then the second game they freaking shoot her down in the street dead. I'm like, dude, this is as a kid, yeah. Wow. I mean, it seems cartoony, but man, it was just crazy to me.
I'm sure that's a really cool feature though, having the arcade, like the additional screen for the arcade, so everybody can watch what you're doing. But I'm like, it also must add so much more pressure knowing that everybody can see everything you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, if you're not playing properly, I would especially think about it in a fighting game too. Like if you're messing up or something like that, you know, people are like, oh, what the heck? But in a co-op game, I feel like I don't know, a co-op game is a lot easier, I would think, you know, because you're just kind of progressing, you know. But if you're playing a fighting game, definitely the press on.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say that some of your favorite types of games to play are, like favorite genres?
So I'm more known for like survival horror. I haven't like really shown my RPG love in a long time, but I would say most of the time I would play platformers were my favorite games. You know, the Mega Mans and all that stuff. You know, any cool traditional platform game I would love. And then I kind of found my love for action RPGs. One of the ones I played was Secret of Mana, and I fell in love with that. And that's when I kind of opened myself up to RPGs, because I remember my buddy back when I was a kid, he was playing stuff like Final Fantasy, and I didn't understand why he was playing it. I said, this is so boring. Like, you go only like, you know, take turns, and so it's just like weird to me. But what was great about those games was the story and all that stuff, and like level up and just like the moves. So I would say probably it became the strongest when I played Chrono Trigger for the first time. And then I believe I played Final Fantasy right after that. Maybe it was before. I can't remember. Final Fantasy VII, that is. But it was between Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VII where it became like super strong for like RPGs. And I love those like immensely. But then after that, I would say survival horror. You know, it's kind of what I'm known for these days.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, and then I guess a little bit of fighting game too.
Nice. So 2 follow-up questions then. What would you say your favorite RPG is? Is it still like a Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VII, or has another one crept up to the top?
You mean like of all time or something like that?
Yeah, like your favorite RPG. Yeah.
Ugh. Man, you guys coming at me with the tough questions.
I know, put you on the spot.
I gotta say, man, the game that moved me the most, and oh man, dude, it's between Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII. So Final Fantasy VIII really moved me. I mean, Final Fantasy VII really moved me with the story. I mean, I'm sure we could talk about this now, but we know the story in Final Fantasy VII. You know, the whole thing with Arius and all that stuff. That was a crazy moment to me, man, because I thought she was just gonna be hurt real bad. They cut her out. I was like, dude, what the heck is going on? Because she was one of my main characters too, so that really hurt.
If that's a first time playthrough, that scars you, I think.
It does, man. It does, because like how they handled that. I mean, it's real life. Like, you know, someone's gone in an instant. You know, and you can't. You have no closure or anything like that. That was the really hurtful part with that. What happened to her. So I would say. You said you asked my favorite, right? My favorite.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't give like an actual just a couple.
I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy VIII, because Final Fantasy VII had a bit of holes in the story, the way it was told. I feel like the game was rushed. But Final Fantasy VIII, it feels like it was a complete game. Like they knew what story they were going to tell, and that's how they did it. So Final Fantasy VIII is definitely probably my favorite RPG of all time. Even though people don't like the junction system, they hate the junction system. I was able to master it, and I'm super powered up in that game. I still got my memory saves for it.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, and no offense to Final Fantasy VIII, right? But like, typically when you hear somebody's favorite RPG, Final Fantasy VIII hardly ever enters the picture. Really, it's always like 7, 9, 10, or whatever. You know what I mean? Or 6 or 3, depending on which one you want to call it. But I think that's the power of Final Fantasy, though. Even some of the lesser loved games, quote unquote, can still be some people's favorites, and I think that speaks volume about just how powerful the series is in general.
Right.
For sure,
exactly.
for
sure. And then my other question was, you said you're a survival horror guy. Resident Evil or Silent Hill?
Resident Evil.
Okay. I'm a Silent Hill guy, and I feel like the common answer is Resident Evil. So I'm looking for more people on my side.
I really thought about this because I was asked this, I think around a year ago.
Yeah.
And the reason why Silent Hill would have been the game, but without the original team, like, making the games, because the Team Silent made Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3. I think they partially made Silent Hill 4, but some of the later entries aren't really my favorites, I would say. So it's hard. Resident Evil has more games that I like in that series.
Yeah,
that's why Silent Hill is like not on that list. So they have more games. Like let's talk about this a little bit. So Silent Hill 1, I think it's the scariest game of all time. It's very unnerving. Scary. I have a hard time playing it to this day, and I still remember that the night I beat that game, how eerie it was. I was home alone. My parents had went out to like some dinner or something like that. They're gonna be gone all night, and I'm playing the game in my room with the lights off, stereo sound, and you could hear all kind of weird stuff when you're in the nowhere area. I was like, dude, this is insane. And this is my, I think this was my no, that was my second playthrough, because my first playthrough didn't end as like I wanted it to, so it was horrible. But that game has so much like craziness, it messes with your mind. Resident Evil, you're fighting mutants and zombies. Silent Hill, you don't know what's going on. The town is transforming in front of you. It's insane. So Silent Hill definitely the scariest game of all time. I think Silent Hill 2 is overrated in my opinion, but I like it. But that's everybody's favorite. And then Silent Hill 3 is probably my favorite Silent Hill game. But sorry to go all over the place. That's the reason I choose Resident Evil over Silent Hill, because there's more games I like in Silent Hill. And Resident Evil 3 is my favorite. The original Resident Evil 3 is my favorite Resident Evil game. I know it's not the best, but it's my favorite.
I was gonna say we played that one for the show. We played Nemesis for the show. We've also played Silent Hill, and I think Yaiser. I don't want to speak for you, but Silent Hill for sure won me over more than Nemesis did. But but to me, like a horror game, like, I think I'm more scared by the psychological rather than like the jump scary stuff. So I think that's what I more gravitate towards for horror stuff. Because if I'm playing something scary, I want to actually be scared. You know what I mean? That's why like a lot of people are like, oh, the Five Nights at Freddy's games or whatever, those are scary. Those don't scare me at all, because they're all just jump scares, right? If I know jump scares are like coming, like, it's not scary to me. I want the psychological, like like it's messing up your brain playing this game. Like,
it's more creepy than scary.
Exactly. I remember a moment in Silent Hill where the town just starts transforming, and you can see it transform. And it's like, what the heck is going on here? It's insane. And they really did that effect well, because the movie tried to show the effect of the town transforming, which they did really well. And then Silent Hill Homecoming and did it in like, there's a part where you're in the restroom, and then the main character, I forgot his name, but the bathroom starts peeling away layers and everything. You're like, what the heck? Like, the transformation is just like insane. So, Silent Hill, man, dude, there's so much I can say about this series, man.
I couldn't play that game with the lights off. I couldn't do it.
We'll try to have you back on for a Resident Evil or a Silent Hill game maybe at some point, because I can tell you're super passionate about that genre for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, so last getting to know you question is what like modern games have you been playing lately?
So I just beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Nice.
I've been trying to get back into the flow of playing a lot of games, but I beat Star Ocean R. I platinumed that game. I unlocked all 99 endings. That's how passionate I was about that game.
Wow.
I wasn't messing around, dude. I love Star Ocean, especially the second story.
That's cool.
So another one I've been playing is the Grand Blue Fantasy. The remake.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it plays. It's actually kind of, man. It's crazy. It's an action RPG, and it plays like, I'm trying to like see what it kind of matches close to. It's like, I guess it would play like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but in this game you actually play two players co-op during certain missions, which is kind of cool. So it has a hub and everything like that where your people join online together, and then the story missions are so like action, and like there's so much stuff going on. It's like there's airships and stuff like that. So it's like you're jumping across ship to ship, fighting dragons, crashing, landing in these ice caverns and stuff. It's insanely fun, and I was surprised about it. That one I'm trying to play. I'm kind of cheating though in it, because I'm trying to like level up really fast. So I'm just playing online modes with everybody, like to level up fast. So when I play the main story, I can just like punch right through it. But I would say those are the three games I've been playing right now. I'm always playing a lot of like indie titles, I would say. So it's a lot of games. Even like looking at my floor right here, man, it's like so many games that I got to put up, man. I was like, dude, my problem right now is I'm playing too much at once instead of focusing on one game. But I have beaten the Star Ocean and Final Fantasy.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. So this month we've been playing. I keep almost saying this week, but we've changed our format to now monthly because it better suits our schedule. But this month we've been playing Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. Now, before this playthrough, Yaiser, had you ever played this game? Heard of this game?
No, I actually never played any Metroid games before this one.
Yeah, same actually for me. I had never played any Metroid games until this one. I'd always wanted to get into Metroid. I know Super Metroid is like considered one of the greatest games of all time by a ton of people. So I'd always wanted to get into that. My buddy actually let me borrow Metroid Dread, so I was going to get into that too. But then when Metroid Fusion came up for the show, I was like, well, let me play Fusion before I play Dread. What about you, Reggie? Any a lot of experience with this one?
So my friends were always playing Metroid and tell me how great it was. I was like, man, this game looks dumb. And then one day, my buddy Nick, he said, Reggie, you got to play Metroid, man. And he decided to show me Metroid Fusion. And ever since I played that game, I thought of Metroid as his top tier when it comes to like action, like adventure games, man. Metroid Fusion is the element of adventure, but there's an element of kind of dread too, in a way, because you are being stalked in that game. There's some creepy like sectors in that game where monsters are locked up. You can hear them growling in the background, but you don't know what they are. The next thing you know, like they somehow they broken out, and you got to go back in that area again to get to another area. And it's like, dude, like this game is just insane. It's definitely it's definitely my favorite Metroid out of all of them so far. I just love nice. the whole thing with it. You know, like they added something that added dread to it, which is making the game scary for me. So that was good.
Yeah, you definitely feel that playing through this game.
Yep.
Yaiser, how many hours did you play?
I think I probably played a good solid 5 hours.
Okay. What would you say? You got about halfway through the game or so?
I would think so. I'm not really sure, but I got right to the beginning of Sector 5. So
okay,
wherever that is.
Yeah, I played all on Twitch, by the way. So again, if you wanted to check it out, we're gonna have the playthrough on YouTube, and then the full probably 10-11 hours of it if you want to scrub through that nonsense. We'll see how many times I die to the spider boss. So I played about 10-11 hours, something like that. I did beat the game, which, you know, it speaks a lot. I think if I beat a game, if it can hold my attention that long, it definitely speaks volumes about how good the game was. Reggie, I'm assuming you've beaten this one.
I've beaten it.
Yeah. How many times? Just the once, or?
I think I beat it twice.
Nice.
I didn't want to keep playing it because I needed to move on, and I went on to play Dread, but I didn't finish Dread. I'm about halfway through that one.
Yeah.
Before I put it down, but yeah, twice I would say.
Nice. What of the Metroids have you played?
I played all of them, even the another Metroid remake on the PC, the remake of Metroid 2, the fan-made one, which is freaking, everybody needs to play that.
It's really good, huh?
It is. It was really good, and but I definitely need to finish Metroid, Super Metroid. That one really will bring a lot of story elements together for me, and then after that, I want to play Metroid Zero and beat that because that's a remake of the first Metroid. So.
Yep. Yeah, we've been recommended that one. We've heard that's a really, really good one to start with.
Oh yeah, the Game Boy Advance ones are great games. No doubt about it, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into the ratings here. First category we have up is story. Reggie, what'd you go with for story?
The story, out of a rating, I would say, well, it's a little bit of a story. I think it really connects with the other games, and there's definitely a point in the game where you connect with another character, which was really like very like well done, I would say. So I feel like
we can go spoilers here too if you want. We're good.
Well, you know, she finds out that there's like her captain, or he's like I forgot what his rank is and everything like that. But someone that kind of like guided her through all the Metroid games, like. There's a version of him that's still alive. It's kind of like a computer, I would say. Like, think about Dr. Light and Mega Man X, how Dr. Light's still like alive in the computer system.
Yep.
And this person recognizes her, or she recognizes them, and it's just that was a good connection with the story, I would say. So to me, Metroid Fusion, I would give it a 4.5 in the story.
Very nice.
Can we break it down to like 4.5?
Yeah.
You can do it
Absolutely.
how you can do 4.17. I don't care how you know what I mean.
Right.
They're your scores. I'll never be like, you can't do that score. The only parameter we have is 0 through 5. That's it. If you think something's god awful, yeah, you can do 0.1. I don't care. So 4.5. I'm just going to piggyback right off of here, Reggie. I loved the story of this game. I thought it was really, really well done. I actually landed on a 4.25 myself. The whole Adam thing I thought was really, really well done. And yeah, he was her former Galactic Federation commanding officer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he called her lady at the end of the game, I thought it was just so well done, and it gave me goosebumps a little bit. You could see that on the playthrough. I talk about that, but when he called her lady at the end, because she had mentioned at the beginning of the game, she's like, he kind of reminds me of Adam, but he always called me lady or whatever. So bringing that up at the end, I thought was really, really, really nice touch. And the whole thing about the Federation kind of going against Samus, I thought was really interesting, because you got this really weird feeling from the computer, almost like the computer knew too much, or like knew more than he was letting you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that part where he kind of lets you in on it. Like, listen, like the Federation doesn't want you to get strong enough to beat the SAX because they want to capture it and do experiments on it or whatever. So just that whole thing, every time that you would unlock something, he would be like, oh, you upgraded your rifle? How were you able to do that? You know what I mean? Like, we didn't tell you where to go, that kind of thing. I thought it was really, really well done. I didn't expect much from a story aspect for this game, to be honest with you. So the fact that we got all that, I thought was really refreshing. What about you, Yaiser?
I think I'm at a 4 here. I think that if I had played it all the way through and got all those
little references,
yeah. Like reveals, I guess, is what I was searching for. But I probably would have been a little higher there. But yeah, even from what I got, I'm still at a 4 here. So pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
That makes sense. All right, let's head over to gameplay. All right, Reggie, you want to take it?
Yeah, gameplay wise, I mean, I gotta admit, I hate, now I have played the other Metroid games like briefly, but I haven't beat them. Like I beat Metroid Fusion, but I hate the aspect that you have to like go over and get new weapons again and all that stuff. But that's a part of the gameplay. I get it. I just wish you were like super powered up like in the other games. Like well, I guess the one I could say is like maybe Super Metroid in a way, but not really. You're not really super powered up. But anyways, the gameplay, I think it keeps you on your toes with the mystery, I would say. So like the gameplay, it like attacking enemies and all that stuff, shooting that stuff is great. You can move really well in the game, but I feel like it's man, I'm going all over the place with this, but I think the gameplay is solid. It's tight, solid, and good to go. It's easy to pick up and play. Though I wouldn't recommend everybody play Metroid Fusion as their first game in the series, because the SAX could be pretty annoying. Yeah, gameplay wise, I'll give it a 5.
Nice. I'm almost there with you. I'm at a 4.75. I gotta say that the only thing that I kind of docked it points for was the lack of a tutorial, or the lack of even just explaining certain moves. That, again, if this is your first Metroid game, so if you're in what's it called, where you're like the speed run or whatever, whatever that is, you can press down and then press A in any direction, and you kind of like jolt to like any side of the screen, right? And you can go through certain walls and barriers and stuff like that. I had no idea you could even do that until I looked up a walkthrough, because I was stuck at one point. So I didn't know anything about that. And honestly, until the very last boss, I didn't know that you could hold L, and then that would lock your character in place and just aim like.
Oh,
wow! You're playing
up into it.
Dude.
Had no idea. Did not know I could do that at all. And then somebody in my chat was like, "Oh yeah, you can hold L, by the way," and just because I kept running into the bad guy's legs, and I'm like, it's the only way I can shoot at that angle. So again, maybe that's just me being a little dumb, but also help out the dumb guys. You know what I mean? Like put put something in there. That's the only thing. Oh, that and the spider boss. I felt like, I don't know. I just kept getting trapped. Like the spider boss kept cheesing me. It just grab me, bring me up, and then just slam me on the ground. I kept dying so fast. But yeah, I thought everything else played amazing. Everything felt great as I was doing it, and I had to keep reminding myself that this was a Game Boy Advance game because it didn't feel like there were a lot of button limitations for only a console that has 2 face buttons. So they were able to make you do so many moves with so little buttons, and I always have to give it a lot of props for something like that.
Definitely.
What about you, Yaiser?
I had it at 4.5. Like you said, man, everything felt super smooth, and it's really kind of impressive for being like just a Game Boy game, basically. You know?
Yeah.
I docked it for. I had a hard time wall jumping.
Okay. I did at
I got a little
as well.
A little bit with that, so that's where I docked it.
Because you have to you have to push away from the wall and then jump or something like that.
Yeah, and I kept fucking it up somehow. I don't remember exactly, but it annoyed me for a little while at one point.
Yeah, there's definitely a sequence there where it annoyed me as well. Again, you could watch the playthrough. I'm sure there's a ton of spots where I'm like, I can't figure this out. All right. Was there anything else you guys wanted to add for gameplay at all?
Nothing I could think of right now. I think we're good.
All right. So let's start with visuals. I'm just going to kick it off here. I got to give it a 5. Once I said before, I was like, couldn't believe this was a Game Boy Advance game. It looks like Super Nintendo on steroids, and I know that that's kind of what the Game Boy Advance can be considered sometimes, but this has got to be like one of the best Game Boy Advance games I've ever seen. Just all the animations and all the effects that they can do. The backgrounds look amazing. All the character sprites look unreal. Yeah, I gave it a 5. This was the easiest score I had to give out, by the way. What about you, Reggie?
I'm there with you. I definitely give it a 5. It's an amazing game visually. I mean, I believe it even has some Mode 7 or effects in there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's. I mean, everybody pretty much knows the Game Boy Advance is pretty much like the sequel, the true successor to the Super Nintendo, I would say, in a way.
Yep.
It's a 32-bit system, so it could do a lot, you know. But graphically, the game is amazing. I mean, it's just like, and there's certain areas in that game too that just really just stand out for me, you know. Yeah, definitely one of the better looking games on the system, and I would give it a higher rating than 5, but I'll stick with a 5.
Yeah,
but yeah.
When 5's the cap, it's kind of tough, but yeah, I mean, 5 almost seems too little at this point. Yeah, I agree with you. What about you, Yaiser?
Yeah, chalk it up. 5's across the board. Just the boss sprites alone are just fucking awesome. That's where you get me, dude. You know.
Yeah. So you're
5 for me.
You're a big boss guy, right? Like you know the whole, what's that game you love?
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. There it is. I slipped my mind for a second. Yeah. So you're
Soulsborne Ring games.
Yeah, you're huge into. So how'd you say that?
Soulsborne Ring.
Soulsborne Ring, is that a thing people call them?
It was Soulsborne until Elden Ring came out, but
that's fair.
Just kind of threw the ring on the end.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, the boss sprites are absolutely insane. The Ridley one looks sick. I can't remember the other one.
The nightmare boss, dude. The one that's flying in the background and you finally see it and it starts to mutate, like look worse as you beat. Oh man, that one.
Oh yeah, that looks.
That's the same one.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yep. The SAX, when you beat the SAX and it turns into like that mutated, like Samus looking thing, that looked awesome too.
Yeah, that did look cool.
So many awesome boss sprites for sure.
Yeah, I wish I got to fight them all, but I at least looked at them all.
Yeah. All right, let's head over to sound. All right, Yaiser, you want to kick off sound?
Yeah, I thought most of the music was fucking pretty like crazy sounding.
Yep.
But like I don't know, nothing like really like stuck to me, so I can't get a 5 if it doesn't have super memorable songs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was good. It was really good. I gave it a 4.
Okay.
There's the dinosaur looking boss made a really annoying sound. But
Ridley, yeah. Yeah, Ridley made that really annoying sound every time you hit her, where she's just like ah! or whatever it was. It was pretty bad.
It got a little obnoxious.
Yeah, you have to hit her like 20 times too. It seems like.
Yeah.
What about you, Reggie? Where'd you land for sound?
I mean, the music is good in the game, but more for me, it's just more the sound effects were pretty like memorable, like the footsteps of the SEX when it's around. You got to be quiet, whatever like that. You know, that kind of stuff really tripped me out. I would say just the eeriness of the sound effects, I would say, really stuck out for me. But as far as the music, it was good. You know, there's nothing I could like stand out and remember. So I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
Okay. I landed a little higher than both of you, where I landed at a 4.5, and I do agree the sound effects were done really, really well, minus that Ridley sound that was kind of obnoxious. But I think just the music, even just when it's like just atmospheric music, right? Like it fit the theme of the game so well. And even it's like the chaotic, like, I can't even really describe it, but it's like chaotic, like weird music whenever you have to fight like the X of whatever boss you just beat, right? The little like orb that's flying around.
Yeah.
That music is just like weird and chaotic, and that kind of reminded me of like Earthbound in a sense. So maybe like it felt like home to me, because Earthbound is one of my favorite games of all time. So it just felt like, I don't know. I loved that. I love the atmosphere. I gave it a 4.5.
Right on.
All right. Now rounding it all out here, we have how well this game aged. I'm going to kick it off. I gave it a 5. Like I said before, barely remembered it was a Game Boy Advance game. It didn't feel like I was playing an old game. It didn't feel limited due to when it came out. Honestly, you could have told me this game came out this year and I would have believed you, because just the controls felt great, like I said. And for a console that only has 2 face buttons and 2 triggers, you sure could do a lot with that character. So I was super impressed by all that. Nothing really felt limited in terms of when it came out, right? So I thought it aged really well. Gave it a 5. What about you, Reggie? Yeah,
I'm going to give it a 5 as well. You know, it's a very fun game. I played it a bit late in its life cycle, but man, was it an amazing experience for me. You know, I'll never forget it. You know, it has some crazy moments in there that I'll never forget. And that's what you look for in these type of games. So they have something that you'll never forget, or something you just remember forever. You know, that just sticks out for me. So, and of course, I love the sprite-based graphics. You know, a lot of developers are turning away from that. You know, big developers, I would say, turned away from that. But what they left behind, man, is just truly amazing, especially with this game. So, a 5 with the fun factor and all that stuff.
For sure. Actually, before we get your score, I just wanted to say the sprite-based like characters, I'm so glad they're kind of making a return. To like a lot of indie companies and stuff like that, they're using sprite-based characters, and I just feel like it ages so well. I don't know what it is about it, but the 3D characters just don't age very well. I mean, we've gone through countless PS1 and 64 games, those like that era on this show, and those are the games that always age the worst. The visuals are always just so hard to look at, and some of them even hard to play because of the visuals. You see like Twisted Metal, like our score for that was so bad because it's just so hard to see. Whereas like a game for the same exact console, the visuals scored a 5. Suikoden 2.
Yeah, Suikoden.
Dude, like the visuals in that game are just so insane. And what's the difference? It's the 3D to the sprite, you know what I mean? So yeah, the sprite-based graphics really, really, really hold up.
Yeah, they age well. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. What do you got, Yaiser, for aged?
So I'm trying to think of a reason to not give it a 5, but I can't think of anything. So
all right,
yeah,
5s across the board.
It surprised the shit out of me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah. This game, like I said before, I'd never played a Metroid game until this one, and now I'm looking forward to playing a lot more Metroid games. So it's funny, Reggie, that you had talked about your experience with Metroid Fusion before the show, because you had said that a friend had tried to introduce you to Metroid, and Metroid Fusion was the first one that you played. Yeah, same thing here. And actually, you had said that one of the one of the lesser points, I guess, to this game was that you didn't start off with all your power ups and stuff. To me, like that actually kind of made it easier as like one of the first Metroid games, because I didn't have to know all of them right off the rip. You know what I mean? Like I got one, could play with it for like an hour, and then I'm like, okay, I figured this out. Now I get the next one, and then I figure that one out. Yeah. And when you get them, it's kind of like, okay, now I can go back and get past that part that I was stuck on before using this power, whatever, you know what I mean? So I felt like it was a good introduction to Metroid and Samus and everything she can do with her suit and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty awesome, because most of these moves, like if you're playing Metroid, you know already what these moves are, right? Like, you're like, oh, sick, now I got stuff, now I got this, and now I know how to use it or whatever. So I was learning all this stuff for the very first time, other than like what I've seen in Super Smash Bros. You know what I mean? Because that's the only exposure I have to Samus, which seems kind of crazy because it's the year 2024 and I haven't played a game with Samus other than Smash Bros.
Me either, brother. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. You know what's funny is because I see my friends play the Metroid games and see all the moves that Samus could do, and then find out that Metroid Fusion is actually Metroid 4, which I wish they would have used that in the title screen. That would have been cool. But like I thought that she would still have these amazing moves, but no. I mean, and then there's a good reason why she doesn't have them, which is great. But I just wanted to kind of experience those moves in the beginning. I don't know, even though it wouldn't have been right, but yeah.
No, it does make sense. It does make sense. Like if you're seeing what Samus can do, and you're like, wait, I have to earn all that back. You're like, I have to play 10 hours just to get to what my friends could do in the first 10 minutes of another Metroid game. So I do understand that point for sure. I just, from my perspective, I really appreciated like the easing into what Samus can do, because I think sometimes if you're just given all that power right away, I'm like, I don't know which one I'm supposed to use right now. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, no, I think the way that this game was made, I just felt like it was really, really well done. And I was telling Yaiser before we started recording, I was like, this might be like one of my favorite games that we've played on the show so far. We've played some bangers. Yes. You know what I mean? Like we've played some amazing ones. So yeah, I'm just super pumped that I got to play this game. Not only did I play it, but I beat it. Again, that's not something I get to say very often, because I usually will get bored of a game and move on to something else. But this one kept my attention all the way through, and I'm very excited to go play more Metroids. So without any more stalling, we can now go ahead into the next portion of the show, where I would definitely recommend somebody go out and play Metroid Fusion. Whether you've played Metroid before or you haven't, I think it's a great game regardless. I think you don't have to know anything about Metroid to even love it, because I can definitely say that this is probably my favorite Game Boy Advance game, and I've never played any other Metroid game. So,
wow. Nice.
Yaiser, would you recommend this to somebody who's never played it?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a good game. If you got what do they call it, the expansion pack on Switch? Play for free, man.
Yeah, true. What about you, Reggie?
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, it was recommended to me, and it was recommended to me even over the other Metroid games, which everybody always goes to Super Metroid. But this one was recommended, and I loved it from beginning to end. So definitely, I would recommend it to somebody.
It's so good. I think you'd be doing yourself an injustice if you didn't if you like action adventure games or platformers and stuff like that, and you haven't played this game. I think you're doing yourself a favor just by trying it out at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Our good buddy DMC is going to drop in for this one, so we're going to get to see his ratings really quick. And take it away, DMC.
Thanks so much, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. Metroid Fusion is the fourth entry in the Metroid series starring heroine Samus Aran. This entry picks up shortly after the events of Super Metroid, but uses more story beats from Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. The story opens up with Samus back on SR-388, and after being attacked by an unknown life form, it latches onto her and causes her suit to fuse to her body. Get it? Fusion? That's the title! Shortly afterwards, she is tasked with going to the BSL research facility in space, where it's quickly evident something has gone terribly wrong. With no support besides her AI computer companion, it is up to Samus to figure out what happened. I really like the amount of cutscenes this game has, and I really dig the way they're presented. It gives us good insight into the universe that Samus is in and what's going on under that helmet, and I'm glad to see that this was carried on in future entries like Zero Mission. The gameplay is similar to previous entries, but much more refined. Wall jumps are no longer difficult to pull off, and truth be told, much less necessary with the inclusion of grappling. Oh, thank goodness. For a game that relies so heavily on platforming, this little addition makes the overall gameplay much more enjoyable. As is tradition, if you get stuck in an area, you'll need to explore the room for secrets and likely destroy a wall or two to progress. And of course, you're going to be finding and collecting upgrades along the way. Now, personally, I found this to be the second most difficult Metroid, just under Dread. The regular enemy encounters aren't too challenging, but the bosses can be rather intense and require a good amount of firepower to put down. And I found myself seeing this screen a lot. Even near the end of the game, when I regained all of Samus's abilities, it still felt very challenging. This may also be the creepiest Metroid in the entire franchise. Some of the first enemies you encountered are monster-fied, reanimated scientists possessed by the X-Parasite. Also, the constant threat of the SAX, a copy of Samus at full strength that is stalking you throughout the game. It's just enough to keep you creeped out. This is complemented heavily by an amazing soundtrack that really sets the tone for the environments that you're in and the horror that Samus witnesses. Visually, this game looks incredible, especially for a handheld title. Metroid games always seem to utilize the systems they are on to the max, and this is no exception. There's multiple different environments and all are represented very well. There's so much more that I could discuss with regards to gameplay and story, but I want to keep it a surprise for you as there's some great twists and turns and bosses that'll keep you on your toes. And while this isn't my favorite Metroid entry, that goes to Metroid Zero Mission, it's still near the top of all GBA games that I've played, and it's something I think any fan of the system should definitely check out. Thank you so much for letting me drop in again. My name is DMCPCRT. I stream every Monday through Wednesday on Twitch, as well as you can find me at any of these socials. Now, back to Reliving Retro.
Do you have a game that you want to recommend for us?
So I'm guessing you guys want to go retro. So
Yeah.
I was gonna do a Hidden Gems a couple years ago. I never got to it. I copied all the footage for it, but I just never put it together. But I'm gonna name a PS1 game that got overlooked. It's called Covert Ops.
Okay.
It plays like Resident Evil, but it's an action game. And if you're familiar with old school movies, like you guys know who Steven Seagal is?
Yep.
Yeah. Steven Seagal did this movie called Under Siege, Part 2, when they're on a train. It plays like that. You're on a train pretty much in the game. You got to rescue this politician from terrorists. And the intro to that game is so insanely crazy. I love it. It's so cheesy. Like these guys, they're on a helicopter. They shoot a missile. The helicopter guy has to jump out of the helicopter onto the train. And it's great, man. But the game's on cheap too. Covert Ops, Nuclear Dawn is the second title name for it. And another one I could recommend is probably one of my favorites. Steambot Chronicles on the PS2. It is a sandbox game, so it'll be like an open world, like Grand Theft Auto. Now it's not big, like a big open world like that, but it's a pretty big, like town, city area or whatever like that. And the game is hilarious. The voice acting, the choices you can make with your dialogue are great, and it has multiple endings, which is great too. So you really feel immersed in the story. And also too, in the game, you could be a good guy or a bad guy, or if you're tired of being one, you can switch over during the middle of the game as well.
Oh, so nice. A little bit of Fable in there, huh?
Dude. Oh, it's great, man. And I love that game so much. Nobody knows what it is. And it's kind of sad to me. I'm trying to put out the word for it, but I experienced it, so I'm happy. But Steambot Chronicles is definitely, I would say, you want to try out. Survival horror. I'm giving out a bunch of recommendations here. Should I stop?
Hey, man, lay them on us. You're good.
If you get a chance,
yeah.
If you like old school survival horror, you can play Chaos Break for the P1. It came out in Japan and PAL territories. Very unknown. Came out during the time Resident Evil 3, original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis came out. Cool. I just found out about it about maybe 8 years ago, and I was like shocked that this game didn't come out to America. Same story, not really with zombies, but it's more with mutants and everything. But it's still a very fun survival horror game that I think a lot of people will like.
That's cool.
What else can I think of right now? Which is trying to think of some more. I had a bunch like in my mind and let it out just for a second. But that's 3 that I recommended for you guys.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, another one is Spy Fiction for PS2. Spy Fiction is
Fiction.
Yeah, fiction. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's a game that deals with action and stealth. You changes the. You can take a. I think if I remember correctly, you can take a picture of your enemies,
Hmm.
and you could you have it was like a camouflage picture of them. I mean, you take a picture of them and you use their camouflage to transfer, like to turn into them or whatever like that. So you have their face recognition, and you can walk around as that character, like going through certain areas of like as them, like sneaking around. It's a great game. It's made by the
That's
same
cool. Yeah.
creator of Deadly Premonition. If you guys remember that, heard that series.
It
Survival
sounds
horror.
familiar. I've never played it before though.
Yeah, it's a weird game, but it's weird as heck. But the guy
Cool,
who made
though.
that, made Spy Fiction, which is a great game.
Nice.
I mean, Brave Fencer Musashi for the PS1.
Oh, yeah, we've
Game to
had
play.
that one as a recommendation.
Oh man, that game totally surprised. I bought that game. Well, I got it for Christmas, for my birthday. No, Christmas. And the only reason I wanted it because I wanted the demo inside of it, which is Final Fantasy VIII. That's the way we got to play Final Fantasy VIII back in the day, like before it
That's
came out.
so funny. Yeah.
And it took me 3 months later. I finally played Brave Fencer. I was like, oh my god, this game, like this is amazing. I couldn't believe it. Like I was shocked, dude. Like 3 months after Christmas to finally play it because I was all in that Final Fantasy stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I can look up some stuff real fast, but it's like because I have all my games stored on my phone, so I know what I have and everything like that. So
Yeah.
it makes it in case you accidentally go out and buy a game you already own. I already own it. Good.
Right. Yep.
Smart.
That I'm gonna go leave it at that for now when it comes to games. So that's 4.
Yeah, I think 5 is 5. Yeah, 4 or 5. That's a record for us. So you did pretty good, man. You got a lot of them in there.
Yeah,
For sure.
I guess got nervous on the spot. Like, oh shoot, what else can I recommend?
Oh no, yeah, no, you're good. The more recommendations are better, honestly, and these are all ones that I'm sure not a lot of people have heard of. So, you're kind of the perfect person to go to for hidden gems and stuff like that. So, I was definitely excited to hear at least one that you had, and you had 4 of us for it. You know what I mean? So that's awesome. I appreciate that. All right, so quickly now we're gonna randomly select what we're playing next week, and then we're gonna see if Reggie can guess what it is based on some clues here. Are you guys ready for it?
Yeah.
All right, Reggie, you ready?
Yeah.
So this is a fighting game developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo, released in North America on April 26th, 1999. Oh, so we're coming up on almost 25 years here. And for the platform, the Nintendo 64.
By HAL Laboratories.
Mm-hmm. Published by Nintendo.
Is it an American release?
Yep.
Yeah, my knowledge with N64 is horrible. I'm gonna guess this. That sound effect sounded like cutesy in a way. But HAL Laboratory, I mean, they're known. Jeez, man, is there a time limit?
I mean, if you give up, you can give up.
I want to try to guess it, man. I mean,
you know the game for sure. It's a very successful franchise for Nintendo.
Oh well, Smash Bros.
There it is. Yep. The very first Super Smash Bros. Yaiser has not played this one.
No, Melee was my first.
Yeah, I remember
the best one.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
I still think it's probably the best one. That one or Ultimate, I think, are probably the best. I hated Brawl. I know there's some Brawl truthers out there, but I also hated the Wii, so that's probably just on me.
Yeah, just some nunchuck bros out there, dude.
I'm just not a Wii guy, dude. I don't know what it is. I hated the Wii. Quick aside here, Reggie, did you like the Wii? Because I hated it.
So I didn't really care for it at first. I mean, I understand what Nintendo was doing with it, man. Nintendo really brought people that didn't play video games into enjoying the Wii. Like I remember my grandparents loved the Wii bowling and all that stuff. You know, it kind of did the same thing the PS2 did in a way. But as far as being my favorite system, no. But it has some solid games on there. But what turned me off is the motion stuff. I don't like being forced doing the motion controls. I like a regular controller.
Yep, that's
I
how
like
I
having
feel.
a choice between both of them at least.
Mhm.
I think it was a good way to play Super Nintendo games if you'd have a Super Nintendo at the time. Adding
Yep,
those
the
classics
virtual
online.
console is how I use my Wii pretty much.
Dude, that music still in my head from that store of the virtual console. Dude, it was like, man, I love it.
Yep.
But yeah, Wii is definitely not one of my favorites, man. It's probably one of the lower ones.
Yeah, for me, it's probably my least favorite home Nintendo console.
Right.
I think the Wii
definitely. I
U
would
is
say the same
vastly
thing.
superior. Yeah, I think the Wii U is vastly superior, actually.
Yeah, actually, that's what the Wii should have been in the first place, is the Wii U.
Agreed. Oh, man, I like you, Reggie. I knew I had you on for a reason. All right. Before we go, though, we are going to be joined next month to play Super Smash Brothers on the N64 by Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright from the Fantasy Footballers and Spitballers podcast. So if you guys haven't checked that out, if you guys are into fantasy football at all, they're the absolute best. And if you guys just like silly, nonsensical shows that have like drafts and all these other fun games that play, definitely check out the Spitballers podcast as well. They're hilarious. So we're going to be joined by Mike. He's huge into retro games, so I can't wait to have him on. And then just one last time, check out the Patreon. It's $2 a month. You guys can put a game on there every single like 4 episodes or so. We do a Patreon pool, so we'll pick from the Patreon list. It's a much shorter list than our master list, which is like approaching almost 500 games or something like that at this point. So you have a way better chance of getting your game played if you join the $2 Patreon. And then you also get all of the footage from our live streams and the episode about 2 weeks earlier. So I just want to shout out Reggie one more time for coming on. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy dude. Yeah. If you want to tell the people one last time where they can find you.
Yeah, the Radical one on YouTube. Come check me out. Haven't been as active lately, but I'm getting back into the flow again. And then you can check out my Instagram. Even have a TikTok, X profile, or Twitter, whatever people want to call that. Yeah, So come check me out. Say hello.
For sure.
Cool, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on again, Reggie. I really appreciate it. And we will see you guys on our next episode. Take care.